You're a caddy.
Yes, sir, I was.
Caddies don't play in the amateur. It's not for your kind. Members only.
I'm sorry, but there must be a way for somebody who's not a member to compete.
Not this year. As if he could afford the $50 entrance fee.
He told his aging father about his difficulties in order to join the golf club, but his father reminded him that golf could not put food on the table or support a family. Even if you really won the championship, nothing would change, because those upper-class people would never allow a poor kid to change his fate. Besides, $50 was already worth half a year's living expenses for the whole family. Seeing the unshakable look in his son's eyes,
All I want is a chance.
the father finally agreed to his request, but he asked that if Francis lost, he must completely give up golf, and then honestly finish college, and learn a skill that could support himself. In fact, the father also had big dreams when he was young, but reality shattered all hope and left him scarred. He hoped his son could fly higher, but was afraid to see him fall too hard. This is perhaps the inner conflict of all parents. On the night before the game at a party, Francis met a beautiful young lady. They fell in love at first sight on the dance floor, sharing the joy of their first meeting. But the gap between rich and poor made Francis choose to hide his identity. He claimed that he would go to France to study a year later. However, the girl's brother immediately recognized him as a caddy on the course. Even worse, the girl's father was the club president who had made things hard for him. The arrogant president mocked him condescendingly.
Young man, you may have been invited, but don't get the idea that you belong here.
In just a few words, Francis' self-esteem was completely crushed. Ashamed, he hurried out of the party and confided in his boss. The boss only handed him a book. It was the autobiography of golf king Harry Vardon. Inside was a saying about the course. There are two kinds of players: one can control himself and ultimately win honor. The other is just the opposite. And young Francis clearly belonged to the latter. The next day at the Open tournament, he threw himself completely into the game, held his breath, and made a perfect tee shot. Every hit afterward was kept at a very high level, but just as he was about to win the match, he accidentally saw his father's solemn figure by the field. An invisible pressure instantly weighed on his heart and made him panic. In the end, his nervousness made him make a mistake. His score stopped just one step away from the cut line, yet ridicule toward him still lingered on the course.
Too bad, caddy boy. You could caddy for me in the tournament. You're available, right?
Congratulations, son. Well played.